What can you do? Research your market. Even if you've only got a couple of hours, you'll be amazed what a wealth of information there are in probably your local business section of your library. There are reports out there that you can read round a subject. You can get a quick feel for what the trends are. Find out who your trade press are. Read about what's happening with your competitors and in your industry. You probably feel it close to your heart, but often having an eye on what new products and supplier chains are coming out is also useful. So research your market. Look at your competitors, see which sectors are actually growing, but also look at your customer groups. Is there a pattern? Can you group your customers into certain segments? Can you actually identify, ordering patterns, timings, perhaps certain product choices? If you can, then chances are you can segment those customers. And the thing is, the messages that you send to that particular section of customers might be different from messages that you send to a different segment. That's why it's important to look at your customer groups. Importantly, see if you're different in any way. Why would your customer buy from you and not that particular company? Why would they keep buying from you? And if you don't know, find out, ask them. What makes you different as a business? What's your unique selling point or unique selling proposition? You've got to see how you can add value, yeah? And if it's a benefit in the customer's eyes, is that the reason they're actually wanting to buy from you? So you've done your research, you've looked at your customer groups, and you've actually identified how you're adding value and what makes you different. But keep checking it, because as we're finding, markets can shift, industries can change. Keep checking that it's still a benefit in customers' eyes and that they still want to buy from you for that reason. So those are the tangible things that you can do when you get back, and it doesn't cost a lot of money, it's a little bit of time. I know time's important and can cost money to yourselves, but even if it's a couple of hours doing research and getting people to help you to really get a clear picture on where you are. So product or service. The second P is price. A product or service is only worth what customers are prepared to pay for it, so it's in their eyes. Yeah? I mean, yes, you might look at what it costs you to make and you want to make a certain margin on that, but at the end of the day, are customers prepared to pay for it? Yeah? So price needs to be competitive. Obviously, you've got to have some margin in there, but it doesn't necessarily mean to say you've got to be the cheapest. Yeah? You need to think about where you see yourself in the marketplace, yeah, and what customers would expect from that particular product. So as a small business, you might actually be able to compete with larger rivals by adding extra services or things that are actually going to give customers better value for their money. So have a think about that. Think about your products, how you've priced them. Are you the same as competitors? Are you different from competitors? How can you add value? And are there different services that you can actually add on that move it away from price, really? Don't think about underpricing all the time, because you kind of set yourself up for a fall, because price is quite easy to copy, really, isn't it? See what makes you different and see if you can command value for what makes you different. You may wish to offer a menu of prices with different levels of service, because different businesses will have different requirements. That's where knowing your customer base is really important. So you may be able to get a higher price out of certain customer groups. Watch the word free. Sometimes we have promotions, don't we? We give things away for free, but watch that on a regular basis, because you can devalue yourself, and you don't want to do that, because once you've dropped prices, it's really difficult to get them back up. So really understand what your pricing includes, and if you're going to give a discount, try and get something back in return, like an early settlement or volume, so that it's a two-way relationship. Don't just slash the price for the sake of it. Make sure it's clear that you're not undervaluing your product or yourself. That's things that you could do and have a look at. Importantly, and we'll be coming back to this at the end, price positions you in that marketplace. So once you've looked at your pricing and decided where to go, it's an indication to your customers, potential and existing, where to place you versus competitors. So you're actually giving them a mindset of where you are. And everything you do, everything in your dealings with your customer has got to live up to the expectations of positioning. So if you go for the top end of the market, you've really got to make sure that all the other P's reinforce whatever pricing you're going for. And if you go for the value end of the market, then fine, you may not need all the bells and whistles, but make sure that you're clear what it is that you're actually going for and where you are. There is some debate that if you think about your customer base, existing customers already have this relationship and this trust with you, potentially. Hopefully they're happy with what you're doing. Are they therefore less sensitive to price than new customers? Yeah? So obviously you want to keep your existing customers, but maybe there are other services that you can offer them at different prices because they've already got that trust element with you compared to new customers. Okay? But whatever your price, make sure that you actually reinforce that in the marketplace. The third P is place or distribution. The place where your customers are buying the product and how you get it to them, it's got to be appropriate and convenient for them. Yeah? It's got to be convenient for the customers. And it may seem an obvious statement, but for example, look at your trading hours. Does it suit the customers that you have? There's one example I gave, for example, of a sign company who was dealing with exhibition contractors, and these guys are on site really early. They need the materials to make the graphics. So if the office was running 9 till 5, these guys probably need something or an answer by 7:30 in the morning, and maybe, out till 6:30, whatever, when they can get on site to do this work. So I know of one company, for example, that changed its office hours and went on a rota to suit that customer base. Now, do you think that's a great differentiator? Yeah, if they're thinking of this company or that company to buy the graphics, that's a great selling point, isn't it? So these, again, things with a little bit of thought that don't have to cost you a huge budget that you can actually change and put into place. So make it easy for your customers to do business with you from their point of view. Think about your start and finish times. Think about online access, telephone access, waiting times, these kind of things which will make it a better experience for them, but are completely through their eyes. The other point as well about place is the product's got to be available in the right place at the right time, but in the right quantity as well. So you've got to keep storage, inventory and distribution costs to an acceptable level. There's always nightmare stories, aren't there, of these fantastic promotions, and hey, they run out of stock. That can be negative PR as well. So it's having a fine balance and making sure that your stock is there as well. The other thing I'll come back to later on place that I think is quite important is think about where you do business. Do you get your customers into that place? Yeah, what does it look like? What does it feel like? How does the receptionist answer the phone? If that's the place where you're actually sitting down with customers to have meetings, does it reinforce your brand? Do they have a good experience and have a clear idea of what your brand is from visiting your premises? And if not, can it be easily fixed? Things that you can actually put right there. We'll come back to that one later on, actually. So that's place. Promotion. This is the one P that often when I ask clients for a definition of what they're looking for, they jump straight in at the promotion side. That's really what they're meaning by marketing. Because promotion is the way that you communicate what you do and what you can offer to customers, isn't it? It's that relationship that we're all familiar with. If you take the time to research and look at your segments, you'll understand what your customers are wanting. You'll have identified some key messages. Communicating is always about looking at who am I speaking to and what's the key message that I really want to get across. So really getting that across, key messages. It's got to gain attention, it's got to be appealing, it's got to give a consistent message. Really, you need to give the customer a reason to choose your product rather than somebody else's. Have you heard of the principle of AIDA, A-I-D-A at all? No? I always think it's a good check to do for any communication tool that you're preparing, whether it's a brochure, whether it's a leaflet, email going out, whatever. A is for attention, right? Put yourself in the shoes of the customer. A is for attention. You want to grab their attention. It might be a headline, it might be a picture, it might be the key message, but you want to grab their attention, the A. I is for interest. You want to get them beyond that. You want them to actually read on a bit and think, actually, yeah, that's something that could actually appeal to me. So you want to gain their interest, perhaps in the copy. The D is the hard one. It's the desire. You want them to actually get beyond attention and interest and actually think, yes, that's actually something that I really could do within my business or a service or product that I'd like to use or buy. So getting to the D. And then the final one, the A, is a call to action. Make sure that you actually get them to do something like, is it pick up the phone and ring you? Is it return a reply paid card? So those are the 4 steps that your communication tool should take your customer through. And try it out on them. Because often you get so close to it you can't see it, but make sure AIDA, it takes your customer through those 4 stages. Okay. I think the other thing about promotion is it's not one way. It paves the way for a dialogue with customers. It's a 2-way communication tool. I think a great example of that now is blogging. This new media tool that's come out. Previously, you could print your ad and you could send your press release out and they'd maybe take a section of it and you would hope it would appear in that way.